So the quiz, like I said, it's going to be photographs from dissected frogs with arrows pointing at a bunch of different organs, and you're just going to have to identify which organ it is and then tell what it does. So, you know, different dissected frogs, the organs sometimes look slightly different. Sometimes the colors are a little different. The position or size of organs may vary slightly. But overall, once you know what these organs look like, it's not too difficult to identify what they are. Okay, so it'll be pictures that kind of look like this. This looks obviously probably very much like the frog you guys dissected before vacation. Okay. So let's go through the organs, and we'll talk a little bit about what they do as well. Okay. So this is probably the easiest organ to identify. Raise your hand if you could tell me what it is. Joe? That's the liver. It has 3 lobes in the frog, 3 like sections. It's really big. It's like the most obvious organ when you open up the frog that you see in there. It's grayish in color. Yeah, that's the liver. And what is its purpose? It has 2 main functions. Carter? It filters the blood. It sort of is responsible for detoxifying parts of the blood, removing some waste products. And also, Olivia? Yeah, it makes bile, that digestive enzyme which can digest fat. So it does both of those things. So you got the liver. Now, this next one is sometimes a challenge in identifying. Because this one, I don't love this picture because the color looks quite different from what you guys saw and what typically this organ looks like. Because usually it is not reddish like this one is. Usually it is yellowish or greenish. And its location is the key thing. So it's this little round sort of bubble in there. What is that, Dean?
Is it the gallbladder?
It is the gallbladder. The giveaway also is in its location because you might confuse it with what? The spleen. But what you'll notice is it's underneath this lobe of the liver. This probe is holding up one of the lobes of the liver to look at the gallbladder that's sort of nestled in underneath. So that's the other thing that will let you know it's the gallbladder. It's underneath the liver. The spleen is way in the back of the frog, near the kidneys and so forth. What does the gallbladder do? What's its function? Taylor?
It stores bile.
Yeah, so the liver makes the bile, and then it sends it to that gallbladder, which sort of stores it until it's necessary for digestion, and then the gallbladder sort of squirts it into the digestive tract. Now this one is sometimes a challenge because it's really small. So what this arrow is pointing to is this really small, narrow, windy tube that goes all the way down the midsection of the frog. What is it? Brady? No? No. Francesca?
Sperm duct?
It's the sperm duct. Sperm are very, very small. They are tiny, little microscopic cells. They don't need a large tube to move through. They move through this really, really narrow sperm duct that leads to the cloaca. So that is the sperm duct. They're on the outside, so this is, again, a picture when they've removed the liver, they've removed the digestive organs, so that you can see these like backmost, okay, these dorsal organs in the frog. And so it's towards the back. Well, you can see it here. This is also sperm duct winding around the outside. So it comes down until it gets to the cloaca. And its job is obviously what? Its function? Carry sperm. Okay? A duct is just a tube to carry things. So the sperm duct carries sperm. Cauliflower / mashed potatoes? Mom? No? They're not, because the color would mean they're not fat bodies. Most of you did not see this. Jake? Oviduct. So yeah, those are the oviducts. You know, they're large because, did we have any female frogs in this class?
No.
Okay, because they fill up with eggs. So the female frog releases hundreds and hundreds of eggs. And so the oviducts got to hold all those eggs. And so they're not developed fully in this one, because when they are fully developed, they're like dark. They have like a little spot in them. But that is the oviduct. And again, they carry the egg cells from the ovaries out through the cloaca.
And on that quiz, are they going to look like this, or are they going to be much?
They'll look similar to this, probably. So the pictures from the quiz tomorrow, some might be these same images, some might be different ones. It's a mix. What about this? Priscilla? It's actually pointing between those nostrils. There's something else there. Dean? Joey? No, because that's back behind it, being hidden by the tongue. And Mom? No? Katie?
The Vomerine.
Those are teeth.
What? Well, yeah, when
The teeth were on the outside.
yeah,
No.
they're like,
Yeah.
No.
The picture here it says they're gonna.
Those are, so these are the nostrils, these holes, these bumps here. So frogs have teeth. They're not like you would imagine mammal teeth. They're not like enamel. They are basically just sort of hard bumps, because a frog does not chew its food. It just captures it and swallows it. It basically is just to help hold the food in place while it's swallowing it. So they don't chew up their food. The teeth?
Yeah, if this diagram.
is it on the chart?
There and there.
On the chart.
On the
Yeah, on the chart.
it's
Those
on
are
the-
what it points to.
No, on this.
Look at the top of it. It looks
Yeah, it just depends on the frog. So the holes are the nostrils. So you see the holes, obviously, there?
Oh, yeah.
Those are nostrils. The other things are teeth.
it points to the teeth there.
All right. This one sometimes people have trouble with. What's that arrow? And the probe is touching it as well. What's it pointing to there? Dean?
Is that spleen?
Nope. Spleen would be dark in color or reddish usually. This is light. Jake? No. Joey? No. Carter?
On the pancreas?
No. Are we just guessing random organs at this point? The arrow is pointing right to us. Emma? No. We're just naming random organs, people. Look at it. Look at what it is connected to. Look at its location. Those are the things you use to identify these organs. Katie? Thank you. The large intestine.
I can't see it.
What do you mean you can't see it?
No, I think it's really hard to see. To me, it looks
So,
like
what is, I'm not gonna spoil our next couple questions, but the large intestine is towards the bottom of the frog, okay, the posterior end. It connects to the cloaca, which we can't quite see here. Why is it called large intestine? Diameter. So the large intestine is called the large intestine because it's a much larger diameter than the small intestine. What about the length, however? It's shorter. Okay, it's the very end of the digestive system. This is the large intestine. It leads out the cloaca, okay, for removing solid waste. and reabsorbing water from that digested food. Now what? It's another picture in which many of the organs have been removed, so you can see like the most dorsal organs in the frog. And Mom, what is it? Those are the kidneys. They're reddish color, brownish color. They're way in the back of the frog, behind everything else. There's one on each side of the spine, although you can't really see that. There's two kidneys, one on each side. What do they do? What do the kidneys do? Olivia? Yeah, it purifies the blood. It takes waste products out of the blood and produces urine. Okay. Same general vicinity, different color, different size. What are these organs? Carter?
Are those the testes?
Those are the testes, correct. So those are the testes. You could see attached here. You could see it down here. What is this? That's the sperm duct. Carries the sperm from these testes down and out of the frog. Testes also produce sex hormone, testosterone, as well as producing sperm. We're just moving up. Dean? Those are the lungs. These two things look like raspberries. Those are the lungs. Now, if it is a picture in which the liver has not been removed, they're not as clear. If you remember, a lot of you, I didn't see the lungs at first, and I had to come over and sort of reach in back behind the liver and sort of pull them out to the sides, because these are also way in the back of the frog, okay, behind the liver on each side of the heart. Those are the lungs. So it depends on the picture. If the organs have been removed, it's easy to see them. But even if they're not, you're just looking behind the liver on each side, it's going to be the lungs. Their function, obviously, is gas exchange. Take in oxygen to release carbon dioxide. This is an easy one to identify. Brian? No. Not the small intestine, but close. Francesca?
Stomach?
That's the stomach. So in the frog's left side, tucked under the liver, curved, banana-shaped. It's larger than the small intestine. It's wider than the small intestine. Some of you that had food in the stomach, it was quite large and distended. Others that had no food in there, it was just, relatively small. What's the purpose? What's the function of the stomach? Carter?
Stays in food and break down the enzymes.
Yeah, it holds food. It helps start the digestive process. Has hydrochloric acid in it, enzymes to break down the various foods that are eaten. We're looking at the arrow here, not the probe. What's that arrow showing there? Katie?
Small intestine.
That's the small intestine. Yeah, so small intestine, called small because of its diameter. Its actual length is quite long. So in this frog, we have the stomach being pulled out of the way, and it turns into small intestine, which winds around. And then this probe is resting right on the boundary between the small intestine and then this is the large intestine. Where that small intestine enlarges, that's the large intestine after that. And the small intestine is where the nutrients from the food are absorbed and where the food is further digested. And this looks very similar to an organ we saw earlier in terms of its appearance, but its location is different. Emma?
Pancreas?
No? Hold on. This is the pancreas. So nestled into that curve of the stomach, that's the pancreas. This, Aiden? That's the spleen. Again, just a little sort of ball in there. It's reddish in color, but it's behind the stomach. Okay, it's behind those digestive organs, not behind the liver, the lobes of the liver. That's the gallbladder. And the spleen is responsible for sort of recycling red blood cells, storing red blood cells, destroying them when they're no longer useful anymore, and recycling the components. Colors the giveaway here, Taylor? Those are the fat bodies. Nothing else in the frog is that color. They store energy that's going to be needed during hibernation. This frog was eating pretty well before it died. Right? That's the heart. How many chambers? 3 chambers. And its purpose is to pump blood throughout the frog. So you may know what it does, but do you know the name of it in the frog? Jake? The tympanum. It's the frog's eardrum.
It says external eardrum. Does that mean it has a...
No, it just means everything like our eardrum is within our ears and sort of tucked into our skull a little bit. Theirs is just like flat on the outside of their skin. So Francesca?
tongue?
Yep, that's the tongue. What's interesting about the frog's tongue? Or unique about it?
It's attached to the front
It's
of the
attached to the front, so it captures just like grabs the insects, folds back in real quickly. And that's it for our organ review.
For all the organs that you just showed, are they all going to be on the
No, 10 of them will be. So 10 organs will be there. I'll show you pictures similar to these with arrows and numbers. And you're going to have to say, okay, number 8 is the tongue. Number 6 is the small intestine. And then you'll have to write out what its function is as well. So it'll be a 20-point quiz. All right. So let's quiz ourselves.